Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Table Flippin' Board Games. As usual, I am Ogre Yonder, joined by Gameface Killa. Gillyweed is off this week. She is casting some heroes at Esports Arena. So again, be sure to go ahead and check out her Twitter and show her some support if you want to look at that. But this week we have Bewilderbeast slash Muishka filling in for us, and we just played Cosmic Encounter, which was pretty awesome, I have to say. Gameface, can you tell us a little bit about this game?
Yeah, so this is kind of a classic game. I'm sure it's been modified quite a bit since it started, but there's actually over 50 races in the base set, and I know that there are many expansions, like three or four at least, that add more races, more powers, more rules. And then basically what you try to do is you just try to take over. Uh, you don't really take over, I guess, although there is combat. I guess
Occupy?
yeah, occupy a foreign planet, and if you can do that for on 5 forward planets, you win the game. We kind of played a variant which was recommended for fewer players to only go to 4 planets. But I could see how you could easily just play up to 5. It wouldn't be too
Mhm.
much longer of a game. It's pretty short.
Yeah, it
Um,
definitely was, even with us completely replaying a turn from the beginning.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's lots of negotiation, politics, and of course trying to keep other people who are in the lead. It has that similar feel of a lot of competitive games that have that, where the
Mhm.
person who, if you try to stick your neck out too much in front of everybody else, they're all going to try to kill you.
Yep. Yeah, it's really
Um,
got that like Munchkin or
yeah,
Settlers feel to it, where like if you're winning, then nobody wants to deal with you.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it was really cool because everybody stayed tied until the end, so it all came down to the wire, whoever could have the best cards. There is a lot of hand management in this game, which is kind of
Mhm.
interesting too. And it's not just, you can't just rely on having the best attack power, because someone could play negotiate and steal some of your cards, or
Mhm.
if you both play negotiate, then you have to construct a kind of deal. And then there's artifacts and different cards that can mess with things
I
as
think
you're playing.
there's a bunch of interesting mechanics that we can get into in this game.
Hmm.
Uh, but first of all, if you guys haven't seen the play session and you're watching this on YouTube, then go ahead and check that out. It's pretty short, and I won, so definitely.
Yeah.
No, I actually got an amazing hand right at the end. Um, but as I was going to say, there's some really interesting card mechanics and just like hand management, like you were saying, Game Face,
Hmm.
in this game that I don't know if I've really seen before. So one of them being that when you play an attack card or you play a negotiate card, you discard it, but you don't get a replacement in your hand. So your hand kind of shrinks over time as you're using things, which I think is pretty unique.
Yeah, and you actually don't draw cards back up to 8 unless certain events happen. Like for example,
Mhm.
if you start your turn and you have no encounter cards,
Hmm.
you have to discard everything and then draw back up to 8. Or if you're the defending player and you have nothing to play in your defense, you get to draw back to 8. But other than that, there's really other than, rewards as helping a lot with alliances,
Hmm.
or if negotiating, there's no way to get more cards back, which
I
is
think why
interesting.
that one, what is it, a flare card is
Hmm.
so powerful, which it lets your allies draw cards for helping you.
Right.
That I
Mhm.
think I didn't really think it was that good at first because like, yeah, it's one card, whatever. But then you just the fact that you don't get any more cards ever until you completely run out, and the
Yeah.
things that are left when you run out of the ability to negotiate or attack are really good, and you don't want to get rid of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they're always the artifacts and flares. So
In just
I think
looking
that's
at the
cool.
rule book, there was one thing I noticed that we didn't do correctly. Of course, there's always something.
Oh yeah.
Um, a flare can only be used once per encounter, and a player may use no more than one flare per encounter.
Oh,
Oh, so flares are
okay.
exclusive. Okay.
So I should have only played one. I think maybe at the most I did
Mm,
was maybe one or two, but I definitely
I,
did a couple at some points in the game.
nah. I
Well,
think it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's learning. I mean, we redid the first round because we completely forgot. Oh, that's the other thing is you can take a second turn.
Yeah, if you
Yeah,
win the first one.
it's if you do well on the first one, congratulations. Here, have another turn.
Yeah.
Which is
And
pretty cool.
yeah, I think it's really neat.
Did anyone of I don't know, did any of us ever win two in a row? Did you win two in a row?
Um,
uh
I don't
no,
remember.
no, I don't think any of us want. Wait, No, I don't think any of us won 2 in a row.
Yeah, I don't think we did.
Although you
No,
did negotiate. Did you win a second one on that turn that you negotiated the first one?
Hmm.
I think she.
I don't.
Yeah, I think she might have
Oh, maybe that's what it was. But yeah, there
because you
wasn't
said
a
it
win.
was her second one. I think that's how.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's how these ended up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Because the first one she negotiated with me. We came to an agreement and then
Hmm.
drew you, and then we were like, "Oh, we're just gonna go attack you."
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
That's
right.
right.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
I will say the playing of the flare cards is a little strange to me because you don't discard them; they go back to your hand.
Hmm.
I guess if you're only
Mhm.
playing one, then that's okay. But for myself, having a ton of those cards because I was like a collector,
Hmm.
it was really tough for me to keep track of what things I could
Oh, everything you
possibly
could do.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
and if I can only play one in the whole encounter, then I would be very. It would take me a long time.
Yeah. The
Well, one of the
Oh yeah, because you got to manage like which phase you're going to bring it out into, right? Because not
Yeah,
all flares are going to be usable at all times in the game. So it's not like you can even
right.
just make one decision.
Yeah,
So
it's pretty crazy.
sorry, what were we going to say, Mushka?
Oh no, that's okay. One of the things that was kind of difficult about that actually is if you do get flare cards, if they suck, you're kind of stuck with them because you don't really want to play them. But
Hmm.
Yeah.
if you get a good one, you're going to have it pretty much forever. Well, Game
Hmm.
Face would have him forever because of his power of
Yeah,
keeping
Right.
things.
Yeah.
Um, but you would get to play it multiple times, and it could potentially help you out a lot.
Hmm.
yeah.
I mean, you got multiple cards that way. I know.
Yeah. Especially if you got your own race's flare card, which I'm going to look
Mm.
through this and see if I can find ours because they are in here, right? Oh yeah, there's a zombie,
Mhm.
so that's mine.
And I think mine
Because
was
the flare cards
Oracle.
do a different thing depending on. Oh, yours was bad.
Oh, I think mine was the Oracle.
Oh, yours is Oracle. I thought you said yours was
Yeah.
horrible.
Oh, I don't
All right.
remember anymore.
Oh, I actually have the Oracle
Oh, you have
here.
the Oracle?
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So
Yeah.
I just wanted to see like because we didn't other than you, which lets you keep flares, I didn't really see what the other ones did. So let's see. If a player for my superpower was if each player who allies with you during an encounter may retrieve one ship from the warp and place it in the encounter. Oh, so you could add like a fifth ship by
Oh, wow.
warping it from or pulling it from the warp. That's interesting.
Wow, that's cool.
As main player, you may
That's
end
great.
an encounter after your opponent reveals his or her card. Your opponent takes back his card. Ha, that's cool. You can just be like, and nope.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Hmm. So that was one thing that I guess another mechanic, not really unique to this game, but that I think we've talked about in the past. Like each of these races, the power that they have is singular, like is very defining, and
Hmm.
also incredibly strong. But
Yeah.
like right off the bat, I felt like the zombies were broken because I just never I know I would never lose ships like you guys did, and I could see how that would be a huge detriment and kind of over the course of the game wear things down and cause somebody to win. But at the
Right.
same time, like having to play my attack cards face up against Mishka or having you steal all of my artifacts as soon as I use them, it's like, oh, good. Now I know it's coming back to me. It made me
And it
not
would
want to
keep
use
you
my
from
stuff.
wanting to play them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It would make me not want to play these artifacts just because I would then get them back in my face.
And there
But
were some good
it was
cards in the
cool.
mix that would let us draw ships out of the warp at a
Hmm.
greater rate.
Hmm.
That was very handy.
Yeah.
I
Eh,
uh I kind of felt like even with having the power that I did with being able to see my opponent's attack,
Hmm.
it it didn't help me all that much because yeah I might know what's coming at me, but I still only have so good of cards. So even when I did
Hmm.
know that that last 20 was coming at me, I still couldn't do anything about it because I had tens in my hand.
Right.
mhm.
So there's a couple other interesting things along those lines, like that. I guess I wanted to get your collective thoughts on. I One of them is that I won because I had an incredibly lucky draw of a card that is, I mean, the 20 attack power card
Hmm.
is just insanely strong, right? I mean, there's 6 and 4 and 8 attack power cards, and each ship is worth one.
Hmm.
So unless you like have a huge alliance of people, then the 20 attack power card is just, I mean, it might as well just be you win, right?
Yeah.
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 So how do you guys feel like it was just because we're playing with few people, that that was an issue. Like maybe if we played with more people, you could have more defenders, or I don't know. I'm having trouble figuring out like if maybe each person in the alliance defending or each person in the alliance attacking should be able to play a card,
Hmm.
or I don't know.
Mhm.
It just seems strange to me that like that I was able to win because of one card.
And there were several of those, right? Because there was a
Right.
20, I had a 30 in
There's a
my
20,
first hand.
23, and a 30. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's pretty crazy considering that you can only at most contribute what 4 ships at a time. So
Yeah.
your minimum is like 4 points,
Yeah.
or I guess what was the lowest one we saw? Like 4. So I guess your minimum is 8, and they're automatically up to 20.
Hmm.
That's pretty insane. It's almost twice the power.
But it was kind of lucky that it seemed like a lot of those cards were coming up during attacks too. That whereas they could have just as likely come up for defenses.
That's
Mm-hmm.
true. Yeah. Maybe we just got lucky and we had kind of an unusual game.
Yeah,
It
it
could
was really
be.
interesting.
Um, but I feel like with more people, there could be a potential for more power with alliances. But then again, having an alliance of multiple people seems like it would be kind of difficult to do, though, more than just 2.
Hmm.
Right.
Unless you're allying against the way that we allied ourselves in order to kind of like try and stall the game, it doesn't seem like it'd be very likely.
Maybe those cards work a lot more balanced with the more alliances though, because then you've got possibly differences of ships in, up to 16 to
Hmm.
20, depending on how many people brought 4 ships.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I mean, and then you also have like multiple races powers that might come into effect, and
Right.
you know the reinforcement cards and all that other stuff. So yeah, I think honestly, I think that this would make a pretty good party game
Hmm.
if you're partying with people who don't mind sitting down and playing a game for like a
Yeah.
couple hours. But you know what I mean, like a social game, because
Yeah. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is every race is very unique. Like you feel like you have an identity in the game. The mechanics are pretty simple, but the way that everything plays out is really interesting.
Hmm.
So I forget who put this on their list of favorite games, but I think I'm starting to see why, even though after we only played one.
Yeah. Tom Vassell on Dice Tower. It's like the big board gaming podcast.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So on the other side, the loss conditions for individual players, we didn't hit one, but if you lose 3, is it always 3 or is it like n-1? Like if you had 5
It's
planets before.
Yeah. If we had 5 planets, it's 3, and if you have 4 planets, if you lose 2,
Wait, if you
you
lose 2,
don't get your power.
oh, you don't get your power. That's it.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I thought it was actually just a loss. Like you just lose there.
No, no,
So you
you
just
just
get
lose
kind of
your player
crippled.
power
Hmm.
temporarily, and then if you can get your planet back, then
Then you
then
do.
you can flip your card back over.
I see.
Yeah.
And you
Huh.
would get it is possible to get your planet back if you, like you said earlier, you draw your own color.
Right.
Then you could
Hmm.
try to kind of
And then try and
attack
take it.
yourself almost. Yeah.
Right.
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 So that's okay. So I actually thought it was 3 always. So I may actually have brought back units that I shouldn't have brought back.
Well, let me see for sure. When you're playing the variant, that changes the game. It's let me check. The
So,
players need to only have 2. Okay, so actually, you would have had to have you only needed 2 to maintain the use of your power instead of 3.
oh,
So
so
you
normally
could
it's
have
you
gone
need.
down to 1. Yeah, if you had
I
gone down to
see.
1, then you would have lost your
Then I would have lost
power.
my power. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we did it right.
Yeah.
So I was going to mention that Farnish in chat told me that there is actually a power on one of the cards where the loser wins and the winner loses. That
Yeah.
I think that's pretty awesome. Like just the way that some of these races can change the game.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think the other thing is we played all with green. What do you call them? Green lanterns.
Hmm.
Yeah, Green Lantern races that are more simple and I guess more straightforward to play. But there are kind of higher levels or more advanced, more complicated races,
Yeah.
like these yellow guys down here, and then there's also red, which seems there's a lot of text there. I feel like you had to play the game a lot probably to
Yeah.
know what
Yeah.
all of it does.
And some of them are only red not because they have a lot of text, but because getting that power to activate, like this one in particular is red, I think, because you get +1 to your total for each ship that's in the warp. So it's like, how do you manage that? How do you get that to happen? Well, you could either
Huh.
sacrifice your ships to
Hmm.
increase your own power, or attack easy targets to get the total up in the warp.
Hmm.
So it's kind
And
of
then,
interesting because you could become very powerful that way.
yeah. Well, then it's also like people don't want to win against you because,
Yeah,
or don't
that's
want to
true.
attack you because then they put your ships in the warp and make you stronger.
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
true. That's
Yeah,
true.
that's pretty neat.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. There's, as far as what we usually talk about, misclicks wise,
Hmm.
doesn't really seem to be any sort of scantily clad alien races that I can see.
Yeah,
Hmm.
They're
it's
all very different and alien looking.
that is actually something I was going to mention about your race in particular, the Vulch. I feel like I've seen this. So you said the game was made in like the 70s.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if this is the original art or was inspired by the original art or something, but I feel like I've seen this race before and I don't know where.
Huh.
So
Huh.
it was just really weird. Like, huh, I know what that is, but I don't know. Maybe somebody can in
That's
chat can tell
interesting.
us what this race is. But yeah, every single one of these the races and all the cards and everything, they're very. I feel like it's almost classic, like not classic sci-fi, but like Lovecraftian sci-fi,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
it's science fiction, but it's all like the monsters are actually ugly and
Yeah. Yeah.
insectoid or
Yeah.
futuristic looking, and
Lots of appendages and
yeah,
orifices.
yes, exactly. Like my
Yeah.
zombie actually has like a I don't know, some sort of skeleton inside of it that it ate.
Yeah.
It's pretty good stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think that's really interesting because it also allows you to play your race as I don't know with its own kind of weird non-human identity. If that
Hmm.
makes any sense, like because these things are so completely foreign, it really doesn't give you any attachment to what they should be doing because oh, this guy has wings, he should be a flying creature, or they should have flying powers or whatever.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah,
pretty
that's
cool.
true.
Although I'm pretty sure this guy has. Oh, okay, just kidding. I looked at his picture. It's like, oh, he's pretty sure he has a brain slug, and then he's called a parasite. So,
Oh,
That's
nice.
funny.
It is the brain slug.
yep. So,
Oh,
yeah,
and he looks like he's this. Oh,
the
never mind.
actual one is this
I was
guy.
trying to figure out if there was the another race.
I oh, it's the pacifist.
Oh, that's
It's the
funny.
brain slugs on the pacifist.
I
That's pretty good.
I like that this one is called Filch and it's got tons and tons of tentacles with which to filch things. It's pretty good.
That's awesome.
So this was the other thing we should mention about this particular version of this game is that this is a downloadable content purchasable directly through Tabletop Simulator itself.
Hmm.
And this is the first game of this type that we've played. Usually, the ones that we download are mods that we have the original physical board game for.
Right.
Uh, in this case, I'm assuming Cosmic Encounter is the DLC version is produced by the same company that makes the physical board game, or how does that work?
See, that's what I was curious about too. It is 9.99. I finally found the price. I was looking everywhere for it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was trying to figure out if when you usually the mods say who made them, and it doesn't say who was the publisher is Berserk Games. Now they were the ones who developed it, although I think Fantasy Flight is the distributor,
I
as
see.
far as I know.
Hmm.
So I'm not exactly sure if no, wait, Berserk Games is the maker of Tabletop Simulator.
Oh, so they
Hmm.
oh
So
I,
they
they
made
probably
it.
have some sort of contract
Right.
to actually create this.
Yeah, and so
That's
everybody
pretty
that
neat.
buys it, they kick back probably what, 70% or something.
Yeah, that's usually a standard amount.
Yeah.
Well, neat.
So yeah, so it's interesting because then it becomes a question of, and I like the fact that you can buy the game, or one person can buy the game and you play it, and it's not making every person buy the game like most multiplayer video games. It's more like a
That
board game.
yeah, that I think is pretty huge.
Yeah. And it's actually less expensive than the physical board game. I think the physical one
Hmm.
is about $30 or $40.
Hmm.
So it's really cool. You get a permanent game that you can play anytime with your friends or anybody, but you're playing digitally.
Hmm.
But with computers moving into the living room, you could easily hook this up and have the hot seat game going.
Oh
Although you would
yeah.
have to hide your eyes when other people are taking their turn.
The return to old school split screen gaming.
Yeah, exactly. Don't
Don't
look
look
at
at
my
my
screen.
screen.
Yeah.
So, uh, I think personally, I think we should play this game again at some point with more players because I'm really interested to
Yeah.
see how the game changes with which I don't think we mentioned before, multiple players winning at the same time because you
Mm,
can negotiate or attack in such ways that multiple players will win.
right.
So I think that would be really interesting as far as forming alliances because right now with just three players, if I attack Muishka, then if I'm going to win, then you should ally with her, or
Right.
any combination of that. It's really the third person either stays out or picks a side and really tips the influence of the battle. So I think it'd be really cool to see how this plays with more players because I think it would be a lot different. What's the max number of players in this game?
Yeah.
Five, but I think you can
Huh.
actually play with more with the expansions because I
Hmm.
know I saw an advertisement on tabletop that someone had an 8-player setup table and everything. So
Nice.
I think so I think the base game has five, but there are expansions that expand that, I believe.
I wonder if the colonies number would then expand as well, the way that it shrank to accommodate fewer people.
Yeah, that could be. That
Hmm.
could be. I can't even imagine playing with 8 people. That'd be crazy.
Lots and lots of like side deals going on.
Yeah,
Oh my
exactly.
goodness, yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
would certainly make it more unpredictable. Whereas it was very easy to
Hmm.
predict what we were going to do, pretty much, except for maybe you didn't know
Right.
if we were going to abstain or not, but you knew pretty much who was going to lie with whom.
It.
Yeah.
I think it would be as as far as the complexity of board games. I think this is a board game that would scale in complexity much more quickly than the number of players. If that makes sense.
So you're
Where
saying the
like
more players, the much it would get
the much
complicated a
more
lot faster.
complicated. Right. Yeah. Exactly. So like
Yeah.
with 4 or 5 players, I feel like it would still be pretty manageable. With
Yeah.
8 players, just because there's the sheer number of like unique things everybody can do, the unique sets of flares and artifacts,
Mm-hmm.
and all the different ways in which everything can happen.
Hmm.
Um, Even like multiple turns per player, like keeping track of all that stuff, it would probably, unless the group has done it a lot, it would probably end up being pretty crazy. But
Yeah.
I would think I would like to see that played out.
Yeah. And it does say that as an option, if you're teaching new players, you can play without flares, but I
Hmm.
thought it
Oh
didn't seem overly complicated.
no,
Yeah,
not
it's
really.
not that bad.
No. Cool. Well, any more thoughts on this game?
I don't think so.
Cool. Mishka,
I think
what
that's
do
pretty much it.
you anything to
Oh,
finish us off here?
oh, just a little bit of pressure there. I mean, I liked it a lot. As someone who hasn't played board games nearly as much as either of you, it was really nice to have something that was that easy to get into because really even with you said that you could potentially leave out the flare cards. I didn't feel
Hmm.
like they were that complex either to deal with. Either you're the player or you're not, so you can pretty much tell which power you could use. The
Hmm.
only part that I felt like was trouble was distinguish that was a little bit problematic was kind of distinguishing between the different phases of the encounter at first, but we did
Right.
work that out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wish that there was a reference card that you could have in front of you. Um,
Hmm.
but of course, with the tabletop, it's kind of hard to see those all the time anyway. But
Hmm. Yeah. I think to that point, I think that there's a lot of emergent complexity to this game, and
mhm.
that if you just sit down for a friendly game of it, then you're gonna have a good time. But the more you get into it, I can already see things that I would do completely differently next time, and
Hmm.
I think that's pretty cool. I think it's a uh, great sign, and
Yeah.
I have to play this again sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, Wishka, you want to flip the table?
Maybe. Yes. Shall I do it?
Do it.
I'm gonna do it.
Do it.
Awesome.
Nice.
That's a
All
good
right.
flip.
See
That
y'all
was
next
good.
time.
Yeah, see you later.